First, thanks so much for being here.
Trey, it's good to be with you.
Yeah, you were talking about how you were up early, had your first cup of coffee. We're both getting at it up in this AM, that's for sure. So let's start with this. What kind of ID could I use to vote?
Trey, 97 or 98% of Nebraska's registered voters already have a state-issued photo ID, like your driver's license issued by the Nebraska DMV or a state-issued photo ID. You probably have a driver's license. That's all you need. That's what you need. And for the small percentage of Nebraska voters who do not have a driver's license or a state-issued photo ID, there are a number of other methods of identification that will be accepted. If you have a passport, if you have a military ID, possibly a tribal ID if you have one of those. If you work for a political subdivision of the state and they issue a photo ID, you can use that. You can use student ID from a college or university if it's a photo ID. So there are a number of other possibilities for voters.
So my driver's license worked. It's like one of the first things that I did when I moved a couple of months back. Actually, I think I'm coming up on like 2 months to the day of how long I've been here.
Congratulations.
Yeah, appreciate it. How long I've been here. One of the first things I did was go to Buffalo County, go up to Buffalo County and get registered with my driver's license and everything. It's perfect. So let's talk more about this process. How will it work?
Well, let me just add one more thing about IDs, and that is that if you can't afford to get a state-issued photo ID, you can go to a DMV office and they'll issue you a state ID at no cost if you're requesting it for voting purposes. So for those who can't afford to get one, you can get one at no cost from a DMV office if you let them know you're getting it for voting purposes. The way it works is you take your ID in when you vote and you present it to the poll worker and they'll take a look at it, they'll take a look at you, and then you go ahead and vote. If you're voting early, then if you request a ballot to vote early, when you send your request in, you'll put your driver's license number down, your state ID number down. If you don't have a driver's license or state ID, then you make a copy of what you do have, put it in the envelope, and send it in when you request a ballot. And then there are some counties in your viewing area, I believe, that are all by mail voting, and they don't request ballots. The ballots are just automatically sent to them. When you return your ballot, in that ballot return envelope, you'll write your driver's license number on that envelope, and then when the envelope closes, the flap will close over that number, so it can't be seen until it's opened by an election official. So those are the different ways that we have.
And you answered my other question in there as well, asking if you can't afford one. You answered that right off the bat. So we're knocking out 2 birds with 1 stone this morning, ladies and gents.
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit of a mind reader.
A little bit of that. You got to do what you got to do, yeah? But some reasonable impediments, what are those listed in the law?
Well, first of all, there are some people who have a religious objection to being photographed. And under United States Supreme Court decisions, if you have a voter ID, a photo ID requirement for voting, you have to make accommodation for people who have a religious objection to being photographed. Those people can fill out a certification that they have such an objection and send that, hand that in or send it in lieu of a photo ID. Signatures will be compared for those people. There are others, a small number of people who are so disabled that they're unable to get an ID. So if you're too ill or too disabled to be able to obtain an ID at all, then you can sign this certification as well. We'll be checking those to make sure that people aren't just using it for convenience purposes. So if you have an ID, don't try to use that.
Right. Now, so what is your office doing to make sure that poll workers and the public know what to do when May 14th does come around?
I'm glad you asked that, Trey. We have, as part of the legislation that implemented voter ID, the Secretary of State is required to undertake an education campaign for the public, and also we're going to be training poll workers along with our state election, our county election officials, our county election commissioners and county clerks. We'll be providing training for them, support for them, and we have a booth at the State Fair. So come on out to the State Fair, look for the Secretary of State's booth. We'll have information there about voter ID. We'll have election professionals there. And I'll be there too. I'll be there from time to time at the State Fair. I look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, it's something I got to check out in Grand Island, right?
Correct.
In Grand Island, coming up around the corner as well. Now, State Senator Julie Slama said that this framework that was passed by the legislator, it was not what voters wanted when they approved voter ID, and that it doesn't go far enough. So what do you say to that?
Well, the Heritage Foundation, I mean, her colleagues chose a better option, in my opinion, overwhelmingly so. The final vote was something like 38-1. But the Heritage Foundation is a conservative think tank in Washington, D.C. They have a whole elections division. They're nationally known. And when we passed this voter ID law that's now in effect, which is a law that I supported, we rose in the ranks from 41st to 18th. So the Heritage Foundation took a look at this voter ID bill, and they thought it was pretty good. That's a third-party conservative expert, so I think that's pretty good. MIT also has an election security research team, and they've rated Nebraska 6th for election security in the country.
There you go. That's what you can look for, you know, making sure your ballot's used correctly and everything's done the right way come election day, right?
Correct. The elections in Nebraska are fair, they're secure, they're accurate, and we have a number of ways that next time we'll go through, and I'll tell you about those to assure that.
That'd be awesome. We'll have much more of what you need to know before the primary election on our website at nebraska.tv. Mr. Secretary, thank you so much.
Trey, it's great to be with you.
For taking the time. We appreciate it. We'll be right back.